Footy and Frothy's Origin review time, Daggy and Barney with you, as always, to get stuck into this. And we're also going to preview round 20. We're up to round 20 of the National Rugby League
Yeah.
as well. We'll try and get through all of this in one go, but let's see how much we blubber on about last night. Where 24-10, the Blues defeated the Maroons. Barn, you can have first crack at the stats. In fact,
Yeah, we
the
had
only
4
crack at the
tries to
stats.
2 out of 4 conversions, 1 out of 2 for Queensland, 2 out of 2 penalty attempts for Stephen Crichton. It was 18-10 at half time, 77% completion, played 81% for Queensland. Running meters were pretty much close to parity, 83 plus running meters for New South Wales, 27 plus post-contact meters for Queensland. 6 line breaks to 3, 36 tackle busts played 37, 2 offloads for New South Wales, 11 for Queensland. 1 forced dropout to 2, 349 tackles played, 318, 9 errors to 11, 5 penalties conceded for New South Wales, 6 conceded by the Queensland side, 2 ruck infringements to 3, 1 inside the 10 against New South Wales. We didn't have any super coach points come through, so but there was some fantastic efforts from a few of the boys out there on last night.
I don't think there was just about wasn't a bad player in the field.
Not really, no. A couple of guys probably got limited minutes, which didn't really give them a huge opportunity.
Well exposed. Obviously. I can't knock anyone off the top of my head.
No, the back five for Queensland was sort of limited in their opportunities, and they probably squandered 2 or 3, especially in that second half there as well, which didn't help. But yeah, if anything, yeah, the back line was probably shut down a little bit by New South Wales, but I think that came a lot from New South Wales doing what Queensland's done to them for the first 2 games and really targeting Munster and DCE and trying to take their time away and limiting their chances to get the ball out to those guys. So
I think as well. Well, yeah. Just on the back five because we may as well work through. Ham had a fantastic series. Tuolungi as well. Perhaps they did strike on something with Bradman Best in that when Val's been. And we'll start with Bradman Best as well, but I've got to say we were both sort of semi-critical, well, very critical of him in a way of his selection, and obviously he was fantastic. Defense didn't seem to be an issue. He was fast, strong, and just brought absolute peak Bradman Best to the table.
Yeah, was never really worried about too much with him apart from his being able to supply passing to his outside man because it's not something that he's done a great deal in recent times for Newcastle, but he provided 2 or 3 lovely passes to put the Fox away down that left-hand channel there.
But the point I was getting to is perhaps the games Val struggled the most is against a real brute centre.
Running directly at him and challenging him.
And so perhaps there was an element there, but because I think if of everyone, Val was probably the most exposed at a couple of times in that Queensland backline. But yeah, we've seen it obviously with Best, we've seen it with Talakai, we've seen it with Stafford Toa, we've seen it those big strong ones, the real beasts. Obviously Val has his own speed and footwork and everything else, but they've been the ones that have been his kryptonite, I think. So from that point of view, just in touching on that back five, I thought that was probably a smart, astute selection. I thought AJ was busy enough. He's probably just that shade slower and not as explosive as Walsh or even Ponga, but was everywhere in defence, worked his ass off. Just I can't fault him.
Probably doesn't provide that attacking spark and link that the 2 before that you mentioned, which was something that Queensland missed a little bit, I thought.
Yeah, I think that was a key out. And on the contrary, yeah, I thought all the back five were fantastic for New South Wales. Best we touched on 2 tries, but looked dangerous at other moments. Great support play, and it was probably the key, which we've been waiting on, directness, and the key part of New South Wales' attack was just playing so direct through some of those channels, and it paid off. I thought Stephen Crichton defensively was fantastic. He really should be picked in this team every year. Yeah, I thought he was outstanding. Didn't have a lot in attack apart from the knock-on. And obviously the 2 wingers got through. Well, Tua got through a massive amount of work and a lot of scramble work as well in defence.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you make of the New South Wales back five?
He probably got shown up a couple of times with kicks to his wing, but it's not his fault. He can't grow another 2 foot.
Well, and
Would be handy if he could.
that's been a
But
concern for 2 years. So
yeah, and they did try to get guys there to help, but yeah, he was outleapt a couple of times, which led to opportunities for Queensland. Other than that, he was brilliant. As you mentioned, a couple of really nice cover tackles, and he was involved in everything. Pretty much every set that New South Wales had, he was taking a hit up at least. So um, nice try as well, which Crichton did help with. He held the ball up and drew the defender to put him, give a bit of extra time to get to the corner there. There's some lovely tries in this game. There was some really nice bits of play that led up to some fantastic tries. You mentioned Best already. I don't think there's anything else I need to say about him. He was fantastic. Addo Carr actually got some ball for the first time in the series, and you saw what he can do with his pace when he gets in and around his outside of his man. He's pretty difficult to stop. And then he throws a lovely little chip in over AJ Brimson to and regather and score as well. So, which was a lovely bit of skill. Yeah, as you mentioned, I don't think there was a New South Wales player, especially that you could point out and say that they didn't have a good game, let alone even think about saying that they were average. So.
and
Teddy
how
was brilliant. I think he had 11 or 12 tackle busts. He was a lot straighter, which was a direct result of playing off the back of Cody Walker, who was straightening into the line consistently. It was very rarely was he going as sideways as he does sometimes for the south side, and that really freed up some space for Teddy on his left shoulder there. So.
Well, I was about to get to Cody, but quickly on Teddy. Look, I thought it was a fantastic way to finish the series, having the last say in that try, his break, and that was classic Tedesco. And at least for that back end, it's the old thing. He might not be as good as he once was, but he's as good once as he ever was in that moment.
Straight through the gap, draws the fullback, and away they go.
That was classic Tedesco, and great to see. I do still have concerns a year in advance with his defence. He was
missed
out-jumped
5 tackles and didn't make one.
And he was out-jumped by Nanai. He was out-jumped. He didn't get off the ground for the first try either, or the first chance. And I think in a previous life, he shuts down that hammer try as well. He was a bit of the way off the pace. That's being ultra critical because he did have a great game, but he's now getting 34. I would have thought it, apart from the fact they lost it, it's a good way to finish his rep career and hand the mantle to Latrell or someone else. But I don't want to sound like my usual negative self, but just wanted to say that. But to the point, in all of these, how much of how well all this back five played was from Cody Walker?
Yeah, a hell of a lot of it came off Cody Walker, and I think Murray as well. They both had a very good intention of straightening into the line to hold the inside defenders up, and then as soon as the inside men sort of held their position rather than sliding out, they got the ball straight out to the attacking weapons on the outside edges, which is basically the game plan I've been calling for New South Wales for the entirety of the series, and they didn't break it out until the last game of the series after it was all said and done. So.
We'll touch on the forwards quickly. Start with New South Wales. They all got, the middle was fantastic defensively. RCG and Jake produced what you'd expect them to produce. Cook played big minutes for his first stint. And you mentioned Murray. Murray had probably his best game in New South Wales colours, I would have thought. And Yo at the back end just got through a mountain of work in that when it really had to be done.
Off the bench.
Yeah.
And they pushed him into the middle. I think he played forward for the large part of the minutes that he was out there. Played prop forward and was brilliant, and especially in meshing up that middle into the defence. Queensland started, when they did start to sort of push their comeback at the back end of the first half, it was coming through that middle of the field, and then you immediately saw Yo come on, and it was Yo, Murray, and the other two that you mentioned, Jake and RCG, that really shut down the efforts through the middle for the Queensland side. So I thought they were probably a fraction better in defence than they were in attack, but overall the pack was good for New South Wales.
Harry Grant had a good half hour through the middle there when Queensland were in ascendancy, where he was really dominating the ruck.
Looked threatening, very threatening.
He was outstanding. Yeah. But again, all their forwards were good. Like this, I don't say it's a flattering scoreline, but ultimately Queensland had 3 aerial assaults on another day, 3 tries.
Mhm.
And I think the Queensland pack just came to the party as well. It was a great game of footy. I can't knock any of them. Carrigan, as
New South
usual.
Wales probably had two as well. If you look at the very first attempt, with the best being one step in front
Yeah.
of Liam Martin when he puts the
Oh,
grubber
now
through,
how
and
how is the bloke past his onside when he kicked the ball into him? Like
good
the right
question.
result was had like they came to the right result, but how is he onside when he's in front of the ball and it hits him?
Yeah, good question.
Anyway,
Move on. And you had the Brian Toto fingertip for the Yo try off the short dropout. That could have been a try as well for New
that's
South
true
Wales
as
if
well. Yeah.
that fingertip misses. But yeah, so there was Queensland did have more 50-50 opportunities not go their way than New South Wales, but New South Wales had a couple as well. So
Fair commentary. Both Fafita was good in his chances he had, and I thought the Queensland bench was absolutely outstanding. Collins was just about the
yeah,
best forward on the field as he's been all series. Mo in his 20 minutes was brilliant. Every run was awesome, and was great in defence. And Horsburgh had a mad spurt. He didn't stay on too long, but his first 3 or 4 touches definitely counted.
yep, no, exactly right. Again, probably on the flip side to New South Wales, they were a little bit more dominant with the ball in their hands, and they probably did have an issue or two in just in that lateral defence. I think the size caught them out once or twice there in the middle of the field, especially with Cook getting out from dummy half,
Yeah,
and a couple of other little angled runs where they angled back into the forwards and made some pretty good meters. But yeah, it was a very good, tough match, and at the end of it, it probably could have gone the other way. But I thought New South Wales were very controlled, especially in that last 20 minutes when Queensland were throwing everything at them, and they didn't seem to panic like they have in previous stages. They worked a bit more together, especially with their defence and the
I agree with
outside
that.
backs and the way that they got across the field, and they sort of defended points on the field rather than players, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like they tried to sort of really set out a structure in their defence and not worry as much as where the ball carrier was, as to making sure that they were in the right position for what was to come on the outside. So
I wonder how much of that is having guys that you can trust, like Jake.
on your
Yo,
inside, yeah,
RCG aren't going to miss or
you're
fall
not
off
really worried
tackles.
about that angled player back on the inside. You can just hold your ground out on the edges.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably
Uh,
does make does make a difference.
I guess the only two we haven't really touched on the Queensland halves quickly.
Yeah, a little bit out of the game, to be honest. DCE did played his usual role, mainly kicking and just trying to sort of get the team to certain parts on the field. But I thought Munster wasn't very heavily involved until the back end when they really needed something. And then he put in a couple of nice high kicks there, which did lead to a few opportunities, but didn't see much of his running game,
No, but
which I
yeah,
expected would have been a big part of their play. But it was more Hunt and Grant that sort of took
yeah,
control of that part of the play.
yeah. And your take on Mitch Moses?
I thought he was very good. Kicked for position, kicked very well with the high ball into the corners to keep Queensland down there. Had the lovely cutout pass that Kulamatangi managed to tap on for the try for Toto out in that corner. Just played very controlled, very game managed. A lot of game management, a couple of nice little runs where he half sort of opened up the Queensland defence without being ultra impactful. I thought he had a very solid game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would think more than just trying to get Nathan Cleary back into this team, but there's a lot of footy to go under the bridge before next state of origin. Any final takeaways from this game? Like it was an entertaining game. Footy it probably suited New South Wales style better with the slightly more mobile forward pack, which we questioned. I know in the preview, but the expansive game suited them. And as I said, the trust in their defence, and there was much more calmness than we've seen. You're right; it's a very good point than we'd seen in 2 games to date.
The
Any
biggest
final?
takeaway from mine was the there was a definite plan for New South Wales to make sure that the ball got to the centres and the wingers for the first time in the series, and it got there early. Um, the way that Walker and Murray in particular really structured on the edges of biting into the defence, and it's just before they may come into contact, the ball just got thrown very quickly out to the centres and the wingers, and Fox and Bradman had a field day out there for a good half an hour in that first half, where they were continually breaking down that left hand or the right hand defence for Queensland, left hand side attack for New South Wales. But
Hindsight's a,
that was very good.
hindsight's a beautiful thing, but when you think about it, because that should have been their game plan. It was their game plan, I would assume, from game one, but it would have been Turbo and Latrell doing it. If your game plan is to have the two best attacking players in the whole game getting clean early ball, wouldn't Cody Walker be the best guy around to create time and space for
Absolutely.
outside backs? If you
Or
really, and I know this is a hindsight, but
absolutely.
if you
And
go
you
all the
look at
way
what
back to
Nico Hines does for the Sharks every
yeah,
week. He does exactly the same thing. He bites into the line, and as soon as he sees an opportunity out wide, the ball just gets flung straight out to a center or a winger, and then that gives them the opportunity to actually get that 5 seconds before the defense is in their face to put some footwork on, or decide that what line they're going to run, and put their head down and try to barge over their opposition. Like, it's the way the Sharks have been set up for the last 2 years, and you can see it creates a lot of points, and Souths are very similar, and they're the probably two of the better attacking teams in the comp, and I don't understand why one or both of those blokes weren't in that team to begin with.
well, yeah, some actual football playing obviously turned out to be far more effective than right foot step,
Look, I
right foot
know
step,
Luai
hospital
did
pass, eh?
have some decent interactions in the first two games, but you could see the market difference for having Cody Walker there, and someone who was determined to make sure that he was going to get to the outside man and not worry about trying to dance around and beat his direct opponent one on one with footwork,
Yeah. No,
which just slows the entire attack down. So,
particularly when you got so many other guys reliant on that same play, the guys that do
and
it.
you couldn't you saw in Queensland's defence, they couldn't just slide the way they were in the first two games. They were actually pulled apart and put into positions where they had to make a decision in defence, rather than just all sliding together over to the wing because they know the ball's not going to get there in a hurry.
Exactly. Anything else you want to finish on here? Does Freddie get another crack, or is this all just like
I
waffle to
think
talk
by
about?
the sounds of things, he might. I wouldn't be picking him again. I'd be trying to look for someone else to bring a different sort of mantra towards the team. It's been 6 years now, and I think it's 2 out of 6, with some very questionable decisions in in team selection in the last, especially the last two series. So we'll talk about it from here for the next 12 months, I guess,
Yeah.
until it rolls
I mean,
around again.
the other
But
thing is the average age of the Blues actually went up in this game, whereas Queensland still have an average age of outside of DCE like early 20s, with younger to come
yeah,
back, with Reece Walsh to come back, with guys like that still floating around. So I think, yeah, I mean, it was what it was. It was a good game of footy, and we do it all again next year.
and Walker with 3, Bradman Best with 2, and actually gave Ruben Cotter, someone we didn't mention from the
Yeah.
Queensland side, 1 point. Again, worked his absolute backside off, made 44 tackles, I think it was, and 13, 14 hit ups. So
I believe he was
I think he was a bit of talk around the Wally Lewis medal winner, but I think he was a very deserved winner of it, to be honest. I think if you go back and look at the stats of all 3 games, he was right up there amongst the top in every single game. So
there would be only 2 blokes I could consider. It would be him or Lindsay Collins. And they got it right. So, yeah, no complaints at all there. And I don't have any arguments. There's obviously plenty of honourable mentions, but we'll leave it at that. Should we get straight into our preview, or should we do this as a second show?
absolutely,
What do you want to
let's
do?
do that.
It'll be a second show on YouTube, but if you're listening on Spotify, we'll just get straight into this. Round
Absolutely.
20 kicks off Thursday night with the Knights hosting the Tigers. Bradman Best has been named to back up on the 2
I
days.
think just about everybody has.
Yes, I believe so. And I don't think there's too many
We'll get to that.
doubts. We'll get to all that as we go. No changes no changes for the Knights from last week. For the Tigers, they will welcome back Alex Twal on the bench, and Api Coruscant starts at 9, back a couple of weeks early. Talon De Silva and drops off, and Asatasi James goes back to the reserves. I'll let you have first crack at this while I go and find my late mail thing.
Yeah, right. Well, big in obviously with Appy. Should provide if they go back because just before he got injured, obviously they were starting to really structure their play in and around in the middle of the field, and it was reaping benefits for the Tigers there just before he did get injured. So that should provide another opportunity to at least create opportunities for the Tigers team. Whether they can cash in on them is a different story. It's the story of the Tigers season, realistically. I think this is a 50-50 game, to be honest. I think this is a game where Tigers can be quite dominant in the middle of the field and cause Newcastle a lot of problems in that middle third, as they like to call it, of the field. But I think Newcastle probably have a few more creative options once the ball gets out past those middle forwards, and I just expect Newcastle to probably score one or two more tries than the Tigers can find in this match. So I am, as I said, giving it a 50, giving the Tigers a good 50-50 crack at it, and wouldn't be surprised if it goes that way. But I'm going to tip Newcastle 1-12, Ponga man of the match, and Greg Marzu first try scorer.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think that could almost dominate the forward battle again. My biggest concern has become the edge defense of the Tigers. I think Kapoa on a wing still very concerning, and the fact Pong has found such great form in the last month, I think he might expose a couple of those outside backs. So I'm going to give him man of the match. I'm going to say 1-12 Knights, but I'm optimistic, as optimistic as I can be here. First try scorer Dom Young. He's had a bit of a mini drought, so back amongst the scorers there.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday kicks off. We've got the triple treat both days of the weekend. Kicks off with the Bulldogs and the Broncos at Belmore. Adokar is actually the only one in doubt. He left early with the hamstring. I imagine they probably don't risk him. So
you wouldn't think so.
or Burns will
Skelton maybe would come into the side.
So we've got Skelton. Just looking who's on the extended bench. Skelton or Alamonte will come back into either into the starting side or onto the bench. The rest is the same team that beat South last week, Brisbane. You got no Corey outs now, and I would suggest that Dean Mariner or probably Jordan Pereira actually comes onto the bench there, onto the field there.
I would think. Yep.
Kurt Capel's back, and Patrick Carrigan spent a fair bit of time on the bench for him last night, so he is in the extended reserves now, but he might even start off the bench again here. Palacia, Jensen, Capel, Piakora, and Hetherington, a different looking forward pack for Brisbane. Jesse Arthurs, Tapau, and Willison, the other bench players. Interesting test of Brisbane's depth. They've scraped through so far. I should also mention Tristan Saylor's playing fullback. What are they doing again?
I do like Tristan at fullback. Be interesting to see how he goes back there. I got question marks around this game, to be honest. You look at the two emblems when it comes up on on your footy tips, and you just would automatically go to the Broncos. But this is actually one of the first games I've thought for a while where the Bulldogs could have a slight edge in the forward pack.
Wow, yeah, you're not wrong.
I know it's funny to say, and you're going to think it's a bit of a strange one, but yeah, the likes of Batala Mariner, Max King could do a job over the direct opposition. Topine had some raps on him 12 months ago, but he's been a bit in the background for a while. Jacob Preston's as good as any forward on the field here. Tavita Pangai, depends what kind of mood he turns up in, could be an X factor off the bench. So the way they played last week, the control that they showed in their halves and opportunities they were able to create albeit against a very undermanned South Sydney team, leads me to think that they may be able to score a few tries here. And if they get to the 3 or 4 try mark, it might be enough to really worry this Broncos team. But I'm going to stick with the Broncos. I think they've just got too much strike in those outside backs. Ezra Mam and Reynolds should create enough opportunities to get them home with a 1-12 win. I'm going to go with Ezra Mam as man of the match. I think once this forward pack does get tired and they get into their reserve guys, he could really start causing some problems on the edges there. And I'll go with Selwyn Colbe first try scorer.
I'm very tempted. As you know, I tipped them last week to beat Souths, and I'm thinking about it again. I think if Brisbane loses there, I dare say I'm going to call panic stations at the Broncos because they're still without some personnel for a few weeks, and if they drop this and drop 2 or 3 in a row on the back of what happened last year, there might be some very nervous people north of the border. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that both the calmness of Reynolds and the experience of the outside backs there, and ability to one-on-one be brilliant in terms of your Farnworth, Staggs, and Cobbo can produce just enough points. But I think it could be a last try wins game, sort of 30 to 26 or something like that. First try scorer, I'm going to go with Cobbo, and man of the match, Adam Reynolds. He's not really been stamping himself in the last month, but in a game like this, missing all the key allies, it has to be on him to get them around the park, and I think he does it. But I could easily see the half combination that Bulldogs now have, and Matt Burton getting plenty of space, being very dangerous here, particularly the speed they now have out wide. It's an interesting game. Seagulls
Absolutely.
and the Cowboys at Four Pines Park. DCE and Jake both named and will be watched coming out of Origin. Jake Arthur's on the extended bench as cover. We've also got Dean Madison on the bench there, making his first grade debut, I believe. Woods, Bullimore, Alloway all on the bench too. For the Cowboys, Holmes, Tuolangi and Nanai all been named. And Kyle Felt's on standby for the outside backs there. Jason Tamalolo's on the bench, but may well start to let Cotter come off the bench, who is currently named to start at lock. But Cotter's completely mad and might just play 80 minutes anyway.
Quite possibly.
It's hard to go past the Cowboys. I think they've just been they've put together a great month of football. The informed team in the comp, and they meet a team that's not the informed team in the comp. In fact, far from it. I think they put on points here. I think we might get the usual trading of pleasantries for 15 minutes, but I think once the Cowboys open up and get into the and let Tumblolo, Griffin, Neem and co really get into their work off the bench as well, I think they score points. Drinkwater will be part of all of that, and man of the match again. And first try scorer, Valame. He's been red hot, and we know the defensive issues that the Manly edges have had lately. Barn.
Yeah, no, it's the edge defense for Manly for mine that has me thinking that the Cowboys win this one. I originally had the Cowboys winning well, but I just think the amount of players that they had playing on Wednesday night may lead to some fatigue at the back end or maybe even early in the second half of this game, and Manly might be able to score a couple of tries of their own. So expecting the forward packs to really go at it in this game. There's some big boys out there, and that should be pretty entertaining matchup in the middle of the field. I just think that, obviously with the creativity of Drinkwater lately and Dearden's running game has gone to a new level, and I expect them to create a couple more tries. And I think it might just come back to the 1-12 mark at the back end of this game with the likes of maybe Garrick and Saab scoring a couple of tries late. Manly Cowboys 1-12. Drinkwater man of the match, and I'm going to go with Nanai first try scorer. Little half bomb on top of the probably Daly Chevery Evans head and jump over the top of him.
The main event is the Roosters hosting the Storm at the Sydney Cricket Ground. We've got Brandon Smith back on the bench. Jake Turpin starts at 9, so they're, after all the talk all season, Cheese is back to being a bench hooker. Uh, Nathan Brown keeps his 13 spot. Victor Radley's on an edge, and he'll be up against Nelson on the other edge. That's going to be a clash for the ages.
Absolutely.
Will Rawbrick served his HIA during the bye, so he's good to go. In fact, they look pretty much the same way they looked last time they were at the footy. Obviously, Munster, Grant, and Coates are on a 72-hour backup, so we'll see how much they want to risk them. Another interesting game. I'm going to say that Melbourne are in a far better spot, though, than the Roosters. They, I think the bye would have done them a world of good off the last time they saw him was against Penrith, wasn't it? Bye would have done them the world of good, and the Roosters, I'm not sure, still not sure where they're at. Teddy's going to be on tighter legs, although it's never been an issue in the past, obviously. I just think this might be a sort of 20-12 game, and I think Melbourne's ultimately effort and lack of spark from the Roosters' attack, we're just still yet to see it really click, is going to be the difference here. Man of the match, Jerome Hughes, first try scorer. We'll go with Will Warbrick out there. He's going all right.
Yeah, Roosters seem to always aim up for this match. They always do seem to give the Storm a run for their money. Tedesco, even in the first two games of the series this year, seems to have played quite well backing up off after Origin. It seems to give him a kick in the ass for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but uh,
Points to
the
prove in the last few weeks, but
forward packs probably match up pretty evenly if they both play towards their best. The rotation for mine is where this game could change.
I should also
I think
mention,
there's
sorry, that Sawali should be on paper a big in for Paulo,
yeah, absolutely.
but carry on.
I just think there's a few blokes on these reserve interchange benches for both these sides that have some defensive issues in the likes of Wishart, Garlic, Sia Wong. Yet to see what Brandon Smith's going to come back, but he's not bad for missing a tackle here and there as well. So the middle of the field could open up. I expect both teams to probably score around the 20-point mark and it'd be close at the back end of this match. I could see the Roosters stealing this game, but I'm going to stick with the Storm 1-12. Man of the match, I'm going to go with I really liked what I saw out of Harry Grant on Wednesday night, but whether he can back that up and put the same performance, I'm leaning towards Harry Grant, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was Jerome Hughes. But we'll stick with Harry Grant. And first try score, I'm going with you. I'm going with Will Warbrick to score for the Melbourne side.
Match of the round. Warriors host the Sharks at Go Media Stadium. It's actually not a bad Sunday, Barn. Can you get out for the afternoon?
You're more than likely.
Excellent.
See what's going on.
Might sneak out and watch at least a game or two of this.
Oh, yeah, the Sharks are before that one.
Yeah, 2:00.
Yeah, 2:00.
So
Panthers after.
if you're listening, young Greg, you can come too if you like, our statistician. There you go.
I forgot to mention in the Roosters game, this kills off their season if they lose it as well. So
Yeah.
do expect a do or die attitude from the Roosters in that game. So
Anyway, more to the point, Sean Johnson apparently is expecting a baby, so
baby
we'll
watch.
see what happens there again. Volkman is on standby. Dylan Walker has been named. No Bunty Afoa, with the bench being... he was on the extended bench last week, so there they've got their full-strength forward pack. For the Sharks, Halman Ueli has been named on an extended bench. We'll keep an eye on that. But Williams, Colquhoun, Hazelton and Graham right now are still the bench. Not too many Origin concerns here. Barney, how confident are you?
No, I'm not confident. We saw what happened last time we played and we put on 20-odd points and let them get back into the game.
That's right.
For mine, obviously, that will be something that would have been hammered home for the entire week leading into this match. And hopefully this doesn't happen again. Both teams have got some good points in them. We've seen what the Warriors have done all season. Same with the Sharks. Sharks do have a few defensive issues, which has been highlighted. One week they're really good in defence, and then the next week they're not so good. So for mine, the forward pack's getting back to almost full strength, so that probably shores up a couple of those issues. I expect the Sharks to win this game by the end of the match. I was still not confident. I'm going to go 1-12. I just think there's probably a fraction more striking and consistency out of the centres from the Sharks, and that'll be a big area that they'll target the likes of Rocco Berry and Adam Pompey in this match through Ramian and Talakai, and I think you may see quite a few points come out of the Sharks centres in this game and wingers being able to expose that position in the field. Sharks 1-12, Talakai first try scorer, and I'm going to go with Braden. Blake Brayley. I think he's been tremendous. The last two games that he's played, he's been close enough to man of the match, so I'm going to pick him for man of the match in this one. They get the tired forwards. If they can tire out the forwards for the Warriors team, he can have a big impact.
Coming back to New Zealand after what they served up last time there, albeit on the heavy 10, I think the Warriors. I'm gonna say it. Sharks haven't beaten anyone yet. Yeah, so they get to play the Warriors now. I think the Warriors bash this forward pack, and
Like 2 years.
I think that they really struggle with the size here, and I think they lay the platform to win this game in a grind. I think through that they're going to shut down a lot of the attacking flair that Nico would have obvious or otherwise provide. Man of the match will be Fanua Blake, owning it up front in the middle. 1-12, and first try scorer. He's found his stride now. My man Luke Metcalf. Let's stick solid there. Big game for both because they both need to make statements against each other, I would think, to really put their premiership credentials on the line. The Dolphins at KO Stadium host the Panthers, and from all reports, while not being named, Nathan Cleary's pretty close to playing should he get through the last training session. Yo, Martin and Crichton and Tuo have all been named to back up. And Zach Hoskins on standby for Scott Sorensen. Branko Lee named on the extended Dolphins bench. I'm not sure if he really fits in here. But Hammer is still in the centres with Aitken. New Izako on the wing. Nikarima still fullback. The rest is what we saw last week. Freshen up just at the right time for Penrith. I think there are Harrison Graham starting at 9.
I was going to say, is that Harrison Graham's first game?
He is starting. We're going to see him step out for the Dolphins. They, though, will struggle here against Penrith. I think Penrith will go through the motions. 5-day turnaround for these Origin players. Cleary in's only going to be a bonus, and we've seen when Cleary's come back from those sort of extended breaks, he comes back in great fettle. So if he does play, I think he's going to man of the match. First try scorer Tango, who is really finding his stride, and I'm actually going to say 13 plus. I think late points come in this game. It's going to take a long way to get there, but and I think the Dolphins pack will be up for the fight for a large chunk, but that flickering fuel light might just be red again by the end of this one.
Yeah, no, I like what you said there. I'm pretty much the same. I think that you'll see spurts where the Dolphins match or maybe even be better than the Penrith forward pack for 5 and 10 minute periods, which may lead to some points for the Dolphins, which is really their only hope. But by the end of this game, I expect the Penrith pack to be quite dominant, especially in the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour of this game, and run away with the game with 13 plus victory. I think they'd be crazy to play Cleary. I know he said he's fit and he wants to come back, but why wouldn't you just give him one more week realistically to be 100% certain?
You got to start somewhere.
He does have to start somewhere, obviously. Yeah. I'm going to go man of the match, Isaiah Yo. I think nice little 50-minute hit out on Wednesday. I think he'd be primed for this one, and he was very good on Wednesday, and he'd probably be even better on the backup this weekend. And I'm going to go first try scorer Isaac Tungo with the Panthers winning 13 plus.
Just so it's not a complete cop out, I'm going to make Liam Martin my man of the match. Should Cleary not be there? Eels and Titans wrap us up at CommBank. Sunday night special. This would be on a Monday in years gone by. Gutho's back. He's at 1 again. Moses is at 7. Sean Russell goes to a wing. With Sivo obviously staying the other wing. Penasini, Simonson in the centres. Brendan Hands, I believe, could have the 9 spot for the rest of the season. I think there's some injury concerns there. And Ryan Madison goes back to the bench. The big three are all back for the Titans. Mo, Tino, and Fafita. Jaden Campbell back to 14. and AJ Brimson will be backing up as well. Points coming here, Barn?
I think so early. I think the game may settle down towards the back end of the game and peter out to sort of a bit of an ugly ending. But I think it comes down to whether it's 1 to 12 Parramatta or 13 plus comes down to how many days the three forwards from the Titans have been on the beers. So if Tino and Dave and Mo got out there and give it a good lashing for a day or two, they may not pull up the best on Sunday, but realistically, I'd expect Parramatta to be quite comfortable, especially once the ball gets out of the ruck and out into the edges. We've seen the defensive issues that the Titans continue to have, although it has been better in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Parramatta's got more than enough to expose some of these outside backs. Dejan Assi for mine has been fantastic the last 2 games he's played. And I'm actually going to tip him for man of the match in this game. I think he'll be very creative and cause some problems for the likes of Kelly and Shoop on the edges and Khan Pereira. So, Eels, I'm going to stick to 1 to 12 just because I do know that Titans have got some points in them. And if their forward pack aims up, they'll match Parramatta. So, Dejan Assi, man of the match. Khan Pereira, I'm going to go first try scorer for the Titans because they do like to score the first try in a match. And Parramatta 1 to 12.
I am going with Para 1 to 12 too, but this is an absolute game Para can fuck up and have done in the past. I would be really nervous going if I was a Para's fan because there's going to be lots of ball movement, lots of weird shit happening, lots of complaining from the usual suspects along the way. But I think ultimately they get their season back on track here. Now getting pretty close to full strength as well.
They've really fixed up that rotation, I think, off the bench.
Yeah.
There's not as big a drop off anymore when their big boys come off.
I don't think it shouldn't be lost. I know he's had some injury concerns. It shouldn't be lost on how important Offengawa can be in that. He's genuinely a fantastic forward.
Yeah, throwing Madison and Davey,
And
those
Madison,
guys are good enough
absolutely.
to hold up a middle.
It is. It's going to be the Gutho show, and I'm going to make him man of the match after his big stint on Wednesday night. And before that, in fairness, he was one of the fullbacks in the competition. So by no means tongue in cheek there. I really want to go for Sean Lane first try scorer here, starting.
Yeah, right.
Now,
make sure you put $1 on it,
so I will,
even if you don't tip it.
But this is for the record, if I'm treating this as a Monday night game, then Makasivo at Combank will score first. So that's the way I'm going to go. Do you want a minute to think about some betting options?
No, I'll put mine together. Do you need a minute?
No, I'll just make it up as I go. Who have you? Actually, I'm going to make it up right now. I'm going to go $25 on Makasivo first try.
Yep.
And $25 on Sean Lane first try. There you go.
Hedging your bets.
Yep.
All good. I've gone with 3 games I think that could end up as upsets at the moment with the way the betting stands. I've gone Roosters, Warriors, and Titans all head to head. That'll get you $16. So I'm going to put $10 on that just as an outside bet there. My big bet for the weekend is going to be Panthers and Cowboys both to win 13 plus. That'll get you $6. I'll have $30 on that. And then I'm going to have an anytime try scorer. I'm going to put 4 of them together from 4 different matches. Marzu, Cobbo, Mulatalo, and Warbrick in their respective matches to score a try at any time. That's worth $9.60. I'll have $10 on that.
Did my wacky thing come off last week?
No, you missed out by 1 or 2.
Damn it.
There was who was it?
I think it was someone obvious.
Chance
too.
didn't score and somebody else didn't score.
Anyway.
We both dropped money last week. We're now currently sitting on minus $610 for yourself, and I'm minus $499.50.
Damn your accountability, David. What's got you frothing this week?
Saturday for mine. The importance around some of these games on Saturday. The Broncos, as you said, if they do manage to trip over and let the Dogs in there, that could be a big, because it's so close in that top 6 or 7 positions. You drop one game, you could drop 4 or 5 spots on the ladder, and your season's in a different position. Cowboys could really push their claims for a top 8 spot, and it's just starting to get towards do or die areas for the Eagles. And very similar for the Roosters. The Storm could cement a spot here in the top 4, or the Roosters could. This is their season. If there's still mathematically a chance, but they lose this game. In all honesty, there's no chance of getting anywhere near the top 8. So.
Well, just a bit contrary. Sunday's got me frothing.
Yeah, good.
I like the fact that we're getting on paper the game of the round there at 2:00, and we get finals. We get the blowtorch to one of those teams. We're going to find out where they both sit. It might
Yep.
be a cracker, and maybe they're both in order. We potentially see Nathan Cleary come back and what he brings back to Penrith, and then we get complete madness and chaos in the last game, and you know how much that tickles my fancy. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Actually, this is an exciting week a full week of footy for us to get our teeth stuck into next Monday.
Yeah, one game short, but
Oh yeah, there is two.
almost back.
Who are we
Yeah,
missing?
3 on the bye.
There
Dragons,
is two.
Rabbits, and Raiders all have the bye this weekend. So.
They can all use the bye, to be honest. So
Yeah.
real
Yes, they could.
real good timing for South, actually.
And probably the Raiders, really, because we've been looking for them to sort of flatline, and a week off might just freshen them up.
Correct. All right. Well, I'll let you freshen up, David, and we'll do this again Monday night over a beer at the Grey Gums Hotel, I suggest. Be good.
Enjoy getting your teeth in to show us your tips.
We're about to record that. You can find that on all good podcast networks and YouTube, of course. And we better plug PCTC if you're into the horse racing and want to take us on. The Spring Carnival tipping, what is it called? Tipping comp is the entry form's up now. Free and buy-in options. You can take us on. It runs. There's 3 barrier trials, and it runs all the way from August through Melbourne Cup Week. A lot of fun tipping in Sydney and Melbourne each and every race. And you get
all right, so we've got 3 practice rounds coming up, and then into the comp. Yeah.
Yeah, August.
So
5th.
3 weekends
2,
before
2,
we
and then August 5th.
2. Okay.
And that
Lovely.
runs, if you are so inclined, all the way through to the end of Cup Week. Sydney and Melbourne. It's a lot of fun. Bit of banter.
Absolutely, it
Get
is.
to take on Arminia Cab and the other Pelicans in there. So we'll do that all again. Great supporters of the show, Gaz and everyone there. We'll be back Monday. See you guys. Take care. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll chat soon.
See ya.